Hi, today we're going to learn how to balance a chemical equation. On the left-hand side of the equation, we have our reactants, or the chemicals that we start with. In this case, we are starting out with copper 2 sulfate and aluminum. It's important to note the state of matter for our substances. In this example, we need to write a subscript S next to the aluminum to denote a solid, and an AQ next to the copper 2 sulfate since it's dissolved in water. On the right-hand side of the equation, we write down our products. In this reaction, the aluminum will displace the copper ion and kick it out of the solution to form copper metal. The skeleton of our reaction is there, but the equation is not yet balanced. We have 1 aluminum on the left side of the equation and 2 on the right, and 1 sulfate on the left and 3 on the right. The conservation of mass law states that we need to end up with the same amount of atoms that we started with. It is easier to balance the lone atoms, so we'll save those for last, and start with balancing the sulfate ion. The sulfate is featured on both sides of our equation, so we can treat it as a single unit rather than break it up into individual atoms. Because we have 3 sulfates on the right side, the left side of the equation also needs to have 3. We'll put 3 in front of the entire compound copper 2 sulfate. Note that we cannot put the 3 as a subscript, because that would change the chemical formula and we wouldn't have the copper 2 sulfate any longer. We now have 3 molecules of the copper 2 sulfate. Accordingly, the number of copper atoms on the left increased from 1 to 3. On the right, however, we still have only 1 copper. Therefore, we need to put a large 3 in front of the copper metal here. Now both the copper and the sulfate are balanced, but we're not done yet. We still have to balance the aluminum. Since the right-hand side has 2 aluminums, we need to also have 2 on the left. And this is how you balance a chemical equation. For more information, please visit us at about.com.